Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, the American Express Picks Bets One and Done. Got it all here for you. I do not have the Listeners League link as of yet. Hopefully, by the conclusion of this show, I'll be able to add it into the podcast in video. If not, if you're a podcast listener and you do want to join it, the moment I get it, I'll update it to the video because you can't really go back and change the descriptions. Once you have it downloaded, and you got it downloaded. Well, you're looking at your downloads, by the way, on Apple Podcasts. We have a 5-star review. You just hit the rating button. Boom. That takes 2 seconds. You want to say something nice, it takes an additional 15 seconds. That would still be fantastic as well. If you're a video watcher, go subscribe to the audio podcast. Subscribe to them both. It would really help us out. All right? No winners last weekend for anyone across the board, although our guy, Jeff C. Woo! Kim comes through. What a week not to be on C. Woo.
A lot of people seem to have been on him 45-1. In terms of players and accomplishments, he counts as, I think it counts as a good player winning the tournament, as I was trying to fish for other less accomplished players to win the tournament. You seem to never be on Siwoo if he's under 50-60-1 though, right? Like you've got your Siwoo range, super fun of super prestigious events, ultra big Siwoo number. But I didn't even really hear you bring him up much last week in any of our discourse.
I didn't. And even with Tambo, he was just sort of in that range that I kind of flew over. It just felt too expensive for him. But now his last 2 wins, he won this tournament, the American Express, 2 years ago. And I think he was 40-1 that week, wins at 45-1 at the Sony. I think I just got too greedy because the first 2 times I hit him were at triple digits at the Wyndham and the Players Championship. And it's like, well, might as well just wait till he sags down a little bit, and then we can bet him in order to win. But yeah, here we are. Listen, whenever Siwoo wins, I'm pretty happy. I was in the race for the giant $5 on DraftKings this week, and it was very polite. I mean, it was great honor by the Japanese sensation Hideki Matsuyama to really get it out of the way for me early. First hole, he has 6 feet for birdie. I'm like, here we go. Today is my day. Miss. And then he makes one on 3, and I'm like, all right, maybe he can start piling them in. And no. Turned out he ended the week at -5 strokes gained putting. And I think he lost 3 of them on Sunday. So it was just a disaster. I went from first place in 25,000 to 56th place for $200 or something like that. Ended up losing on the week.
Yeah, that's a swing.
It was bad. See, you say you saw a lot of people with Siwoo. I know Noonan had Siwoo over at Bettsburg. Shout out Noonan. And a couple other people had him too. Way more people had Hayden Buckley tickets. And that was, I know how this goes. When you have this long shot, first real time playing for a title in contention, his play on 18, and look, I get that he was trying to win. I think he thought he had the shot. Did you see much? I know you were watching a ton of football, and you're probably still comatose after the Chargers debacle on Saturday. Something we will talk about on Tuesday's show with Cuss, by the way, if you're looking for that. But to watch the end of the Sony, I ended up watching it, instead of watching Ravens Bengals, I ended up just kind of going back, watching my tape at the Sony, and then I watched Ravens Bengals this morning. But on 18, obviously, Siwoo chips in on 17 to get there, and then he hits it into the bunker. I don't know what he was doing. Did you actually, I should go back to the first question. So I have quadruple barreling a question here. Did you watch the end of the Sony?
No.
Okay. So
I'm sorry. I watched Buckley miss the putt, if that's what you mean. But no, I watched Siwoo hit his shot, but I missed Buckley's approach.
Okay, so here's what happened. On 18, Siwoo, I don't know if he had a 3-wood or a 5-wood off the tee, but he teed it up a whole bunch, which I was like, that's really strange. And then he ends up pulling it into the bunker on the left-hand side. And then he goes for the green out of the bunker and gets there, and then 2 putts for birdie. He thought it was going to break back to the right at the end on his eagle putt, and he had the right weight on and just goes and taps it in. The long putter, the long stroke, working for Siwoo at the moment, although I think it was the 7th lowest strokes gained putting odds. You could see it throughout the course of the day because I kept flipping over, and we saw it at the Amex when he won, at the Players when he won, and you see this from him from time to time. He just went into full nuclear Siwoo mode, where I always made the joke. It's when Rory gets it going and it's oh God, he's just hitting everything to 3 feet every single time. And that Siwoo, twice a year, accomplishes the same thing. This was one of those days.
Yeah. I noticed he was going absolutely nuclear. He could have birdied the first 5 holes. He missed a 4-footer on the third for birdie, and then he missed an 8 or 10 inside 11 feet on the fifth hole after birdieing the first 3. I saw that shot out of the bunker to about like 44 feet. Just incredible. Just incredible. Yeah, a guy plays full nails all the time. All the time.
So
and
what happened
the
with
broomstick is so it's hard to cheer for guys with the broomstick, but Siwoo's probably the first one in a while since Adam Scott, who yeah, I don't know. Never mind. Can't stand it still.
Okay. Any reason why?
I don't know, it just looks annoying.
That's fair. I would agree.
Good for that. Like he won with it. Awesome. Now it's probably just here to stay for a really long time for Siwoo.
Maybe it'll be like it. It'll be like at the Masters a few years ago when he broke his putter and then he had to putt with his 5-wood.
Still played all right.
He did actually. Where was I going with this? Buckley off the tee. He puts into like the first cut, like just off the fairway, but it seemed like he was lodged up against the deeper rough. The rough was way deeper at the Sony Open this year as opposed to other years. It looked like it was almost a full inch longer than it normally is. But he was either right up against the deeper rough or he was just off of it, and he tried to go for the green, which is fine and everything, but it feels like if with the way that hole is situated and where the pin placement is in like the back right, the one thing that you don't want to do is miss the green and like short side yourself exactly where he hit it. Like if he just hits it out to the left and isn't on the green, he's like 10 feet away or 10 yards away from the green, he has such an easy chip up to that hole, just taps it in for birdie, and he kind of fucked himself playing for the win right there in a spot where he probably shouldn't have been playing for the win.
You said playing for the win twice. You mean playing for the tie?
No, he should have played for the birdie. Should have played to force the playoff once he was in that situation off the tee. Like if you're full go from the middle of the fairway, then bombs away, right? Go attack the pin. We've seen enough guys put it within like 20 feet for eagle on that hole, and then you have a chance to win it. But from where he was, it just didn't seem like he was going to be able to get it there.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And he was such a I mean, it says golf in a nutshell, right? He'd miss 4-footers, 5-footers, and then hit 16, 26-footers on the very next hole. So I didn't have it. I saw there was a big discourse this morning, or I guess it was happening yesterday. And, you had Buckley, you had your 80, 85 to ones, maybe 70 to ones. There's a point where it was a clear 2-man race. You could have gotten more than 55th, you could have cashed out still to 40 to 1 ticket. I'm not a cash out guy, but I saw a lot of second guessing this morning from, as you mentioned, heavy team Buckley.
Yeah, there was a lot. I believe Rick was on Buckley. I think he put him in our Golf Digest article. So shout out Rick for being on that. I mean, he was like the anchor for that giant DraftKings lineup that I had too. I had him, Lipsky, and Ben Taylor on a team with good players, and all the good players were terrible, and all the losers. What I figured what would happen was that these guys would get there. I think they were 1 T2 T2 going into the final day. It's like, well, these guys, they have a chance of winning, obviously. They're right there. Buckley with the better chance, being that he's out in the lead. But one of these guys is going to fall back. What I really need here is KH Lee or Hideki to go on some sort of run, or Taylor Montgomery, and just, no. These guys sputtered. The only guy from like the final few groups who actually played well all day was Siwoo. He deserved it. 64 on the weekend.
And I'm surprised. Well, not that I know anything, but I saw people a lot smarter than me on the ground, even part of that sort of, in some of the caddy circuits, saying we should be on 59 watch. And it never, at any point this week, and it never even felt like it was threatened by anybody, ever.
No. Should we talk about Spieth going, do we call it, we can't call it full Spieth. I feel kind of bad for Keegan at this point. It's just he was the first person to do it when everyone really started getting into betting and playing on DraftKings at the Valspar that year. But first round leader to a missed cut. Saw a slew of very good looking DraftKings lineups that were 5 of 6 because of Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, that's horrible. He was my one and done, Pat.
Oh yeah, he was Paul's one and done too.
Hey, you know what? The Chargers went full Keegan Saturday, so a bit of everything, right? My one and done. And all of it, just the full, total. I made a joke on Twitter. It happens one time at the start of, DFS popularity, becoming popular 2015, 2016, and you're labeled for life. I'm sorry, Keegan, but it's always full Keegs for me, man. Always. Sorry, man. but that's just the way it works. The internet's cruel. Or perception is reality. One time. It's all it took. Full Keegan.
When was the last time that you remember the top 3 guys on the odds board just straight up missing the cut? Tom Kim, Sung J M, Jordan Spieth, gone.
I don't know.
It doesn't happen.
Thought about that. Hadn't even thought about that. I mean, the only reason as we kind of joked last week, we were anti Tom Kim was just 140 guys. It's like, I don't know. I don't have a case to say anything bad against them. I wasn't part of any of it. My own bet's lost, so it doesn't really matter.
No, and the case against Tom Kim is exactly what happened. He struck the shit out of the ball. He was great off the tee. He was great with his irons. Couldn't make a putt to save his life. I think he lost 6 strokes putting in 2 rounds. Like you're not going to make the cut if that happens. And we've seen that from him. We've seen him have just disastrous putting weeks, and then coincidentally, he'll flip it and he'll have like the best putting week in the field. I'm not quite sure I've seen a player like that as often. It's sort of like the advanced version of what Morikawa does. The Morikawa sucks. Oh, he gained 9 strokes putting. I don't know where that came from. At least Kim seems to flip it more consistently, at least so far in his career.
Yeah, that's a fair example. I would agree. Kim hits that ceiling far more often than it seems like Colin has been able to. I don't know, man. They all missed who was the second one? Sung Jae. Is that who it was?
Yeah, Sung Jae missed.
Weekends all blur. We're still not driving heavy machinery yet around here. Operating heavy machinery.
You had to call the kids an Uber to get them to school this morning?
Oh no, we can walk to school.
Oh.
And that was nice. Yeah. A lot of like nice George Michael walks for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was fun. I was happy to have the cut sweat was fun. I think that's the part, and maybe this is just such a minority part of the golf viewing audience, that there's real cachet to the cut sweat. Like it makes me pay more attention. It's not just because, I mean, maybe it is because I have bets on the go. I have DraftKings lineups on the go, but it creates a story on a Friday, like where there was none last week at the Tournament of Champions. It was like, yeah, okay, who cares how they're playing on Friday? Like, let's wait till we get to Sunday, see where the cards are at the moment, and then maybe we can make another move here. With the cut, it's like, all right, well, what's going on Friday? And it's so late on Friday night. They didn't even get it in. Davis Thompson was the last guy on the course who had an eagle putt on 18. Would have had to 4-putt to miss the cut, but he wanted to push it off into the next day, which meant all the, everything couldn't update. And so thanks for that, Davis Thompson. I'm glad I drafted you to my season-long fantasy team. But I just like the cuts more. The cuts make it more interesting for me.
100%. I mean, it doesn't even feel like WGCs exist anymore outside of match play, and now Tournament of Champions almost is like a de facto WGC. But I hate those. For DraftKings purposes. They're not even fun. The variance doesn't exist, even though it's hard. I don't do it successfully. But the funnest part of DraftKings is kind of just being like, I can get 6 guys through the cut. Like that's all part of the game. I can do that. That's not that hard. Like I love fishing at the bottom. Like make the cut. You're fine by me. You do that. Now we've all been there so many times where your losers play half decent and your big money just kills you. Oh, it's all part of the game. My question to you, Pat, is I don't doubt, we do fun stuff for the majors or the players with the cut sweat. You have clearly developed like a nice niche, hyper niche audience for this. Do you ever think it is in their interest to actually pay people to broadcast a cut specific thing? Because based on how they broadcast full golf tournaments, I don't think that's relevant. In how they treat the DFS sort of community in a full golf broadcast, I don't think they would believe it's worth it to do anything as it relates to a cut line, in my opinion, at this moment.
First things first, they should just have someone on the staff of the broadcast team to let the people know what the cut might actually be. Just first things first. Don't be like, hey, I think it's going to be -5. It's like that literally has a 0% chance of happening. Maybe let's figure that part out first. But all they're ever trying to do on these golf broadcasts, especially on the weekend ones, is manufacture storylines. It's the same reason we get Francis Umlet, or whatever the fuck his name was, from last year's U.S. Open. We see the same 4 to 5 minute like pre-packaged segment like 7 times throughout the course of a day and a round. Like, do we really need that? This is real drama happening on the course for money. FedEx Cup points. Fewer people make the FedEx Cup this year. It's only the top 70 that retain their tour cards. Like, I think there's real stories going on with the cut line. It's built-in drama to your sport. And I don't think it's just... And that's the thing. Right now, it feels like it's just people with DraftKings lineups or bets that are sweating the cut line. Like, you could make this into a real thing. I think, at least, because I think it's a real story about guys who are making the cut. Who's going to affect the cut? What's it going to take to happen to affect the cut? Like, all of the convoluted shit that they do, or they used to do during the FedEx Cup finals, where it's like, well, with this birdie, he jumps from here to here in the overall FedEx Cup. But in the actual leaderboard, he's here to here. Like, if they thought that was a good idea, I think we can handle the cut line.
Okay, you are 100% right in that I believe, they can do it. We can handle it. The viewer can absorb it. The guy watching golf is more confused watching those convoluted scenarios than you just showing him a cut board. But I think you kind of nailed it on the head. It does actually have the potential to be something. I'm not saying it would make a non-DFS player play DFS, but it could just make the actual just guy who's watching golf for golf, enjoys the tournaments, like enjoy that segment. Like almost go to you said it, like have one guy who it's his assignment. So he's very familiar with what the cut line is, and you almost go to them off like to the ballot, like the board where they would do interviews in front of, and just show it and talk through it. And maybe you are right, and it could be one guy's assignment. That doesn't sound crazy. Yeah.
Just look, when we watch Sunday Night Football now, that you have Steve Kornacki on there going through every different scenario and showing the percentages of teams to make the playoffs, even when it's like not relevant at this point. Election night, you have John Hart on the big board, like here's here, and here's the percentage here, in this county, in that county. Why couldn't you just do the exact same thing for the cut line? If that's something that people are into, you could just do it that way. But the overall way to make this the best possible product for the audience, whether it be sports bettors, DraftKings players, or just the casual audience who may be tuning in to watch the Friday cut, is have one of the books just sponsor it. Preferably, let's say DraftKings Sportsbook. Presenters of the Pat Mayo Experience can present you the cut line. Go out and hire someone, and the only way that you can watch it is either through the PGA Tour live online feed, but you can simul-stream it on DraftKings Sportsbook or whatever book that wants to do it, and then you have fresh to make the cut odds that are up there at the same time to make the cut, to miss the cut, while you stream it from that actual app. For the gambling companies, it works out really well because it keeps people on your app for a longer time, where you're just more inclined to make bets that entire time. For the PGA, you get more publicity for your product, work out some sort of affiliate deal that you can make money off of it, and boom, everyone wins. And we as the viewer win because we get what we actually want to see.
The only place that does the cut line a bit of justice clearly is radio. Those guys clearly have a way better grasp on what the actual number is. And sometimes, because it's radio, they're just trying to talk through some things. They need to add words where they don't have pictures. They're almost trying to kill time, it feels like, where some of the educated guys that run those broadcasts just run through that cut situation sometimes. That never happens on the television broadcast. Everything you said makes a lot of sense. Again, it goes back to how the regular broadcast is treated. It doesn't still feel like there's a place for it, but everything now is multi-purpose, multi-viewing. So we'll see, maybe even part of the PGA live. And that's really all it is. The cut sweat thing doesn't even make, to counter my own point, talking through it, the cut sweat also has nothing to do with a network TV broadcast on the weekend. Can just be part of the PGA live thing. And you're right, the Kornacki, just go to the board, talk us through it, show it. People are interested. I don't know, but it seems like some of these sports books are where I track the cut line, Pat, already, because of how fast they show me what's happening. And it's the only place I'm getting quick information on those sorts of scrubby players who they're clearly not going to show their shots. Also, to the app, I'm surprised at how high at the top they have odds, like in their scroll option. But with the full field, again, I like the app. I like the new improvements. It's getting better. It's a little sensitive on the starring and the unstarring, but I like the much quicker access to be able to see what is happening, what guys are up to. So again, thumbs up from me because I've given them shit for the years. So thumbs up from me.
We regularly talk about the integration of technology and we see the cut line, everything like that. And now we get the American Express at PGA West, where we're not going to know what the fuck is going on at two of the courses this week. Someone might on their iPhone be able to, if someone's shooting 59, they'll have an iPhone out there to catch someone on the 17th hole. Nothing will more vividly stand out in my mind from this tournament. And this tournament's really fun. There's very memorable moments from it throughout the course of the years. But Hadwin shooting the 59 at La Quinta, needs a birdie or needs to par out, whatever it might be. And he's standing on 17, and we legitimately have not seen one of his shots all day. And you can see like someone has like a handy cam on number 17 by the time they finally jump over to him. And I know we'll get like the featured groups from Nicholas and La Quinta, but you might legit see 6 players from those the entire weekend. Or the entire
I feel like they got a bit better at that last year. I feel like I was kind of taken aback by it, but it was pretty much the end of Hadwin's 59 was essentially outlaw tour Twitter streaming quality.
Except the guy who was doing the streaming didn't get hungover and not show up. He actually did show up, so kudos to that guy.
Yeah. It's a weird one. It can be hard to track, and wild cards are in play, but you're right. Tons of great memories here, right? Phil, Duffner from the Rocks, a lot of weird shit's gone on here.
Yeah, and Duffner from the Rocks to beat Lingmerth in that playoff was the reason that we ended up having all that money on Willett. I mentioned that on the research show, which is already out. Yeah. By the way, if you want to get more in-depth into this field and the courses this week, that because Duffner won, we had all that extra money in our account and we're just like, hey, we might as well put a bunch on Willett then.
Those enhanced are available.
I saw. It's okay, Jeff. You can wait the 13 minutes and make the bets afterwards.
Yeah, but no, because they got to get the 100% cash out before the other thing drifts. If you already made something. Oh,
okay. There's 3.
That's all. I didn't know if you did that. That's what I was talking. I didn't want you to lose the 100% cash out that some places can offer still, which is weird. And we're not going to talk about their Sunday morning cash outs either, because that's our secret.
Yeah, so just tune in on Sunday mornings to your app to see what they're offering for cash outs, and maybe you'll get like 80% of your money
for guys that have missed the cut. Holy shit!
You're saying the loud part loud. You got to say that part. The quiet part loud. Yeah, you got to say that part quiet.
I'd say anything. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
Now, if you know, you know. Put it that way. And if you don't know, it doesn't actually concern you, so you don't need to worry about it. I'm just saying that if you just go look on Sunday mornings and see some cash outs, maybe they're there for you for no reason. Also, yeah, we made those bets for Phoenix. DraftKings was I had been talking about the KH Lee one for a while. Those odds finally got crushed. This is very interesting to see because DraftKings obviously has some sort of partnership with Phoenix. They're going to build their sports book. It's not going to be available, I think, in time for this year. So that's a bummer because I wanted to do all the shows from there this year and do the Super Bowl because it's in Phoenix at the same time, the same week. It'd be an awesome spot to do all the content from. That's not going to happen this year. But they threw out the odds. The odds have been out for like 2 months for Phoenix and what the estimated field is going to be. And you can make these future bets on everyone. And for whatever reason, unlike the majors futures, it's like no one really paid attention to this market when things were happening. So KH Lee and Cam Davis were both 130 to 1. Not that I think these guys are like locks to win or anything, but I think they're like locks to be at least 60 to 1 by the time we get to the tournament, right?
Yeah. I really like DraftKings offering of a bunch of random tournaments throughout the year.
And they don't pay attention to them.
I wish more sites did that.
Okay.
I like KH Lee. I like Cam Davis. They both, I think, are in play this week, but those are huge numbers. I agree.
Okay. So 3-course rotation, Nicholas course, La Quinta, and the stadium course, the Pete Dye, the main course, the host course, where everyone will play their final rounds. There's no cut until after round 3 at this tournament, and it's a Pro-Am, Jeff. And it's not even one of those fun Pro-Ams with Larry the Cable Guy. It's with Steve, the head of accounting from some financial company you've never heard of.
Yeah, it's the way less prestigious pro-am, but I think it's a lot of the sponsors in the events. And yeah, the guide accounting from, like RBC. There's a lot of like boring people who are affiliated and make the PGA Tour click, it feels like, are part of this one.
When you go research stats from this week and go look at everything, just remember, like when you go onto fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off and do your research, that all the shot link data, all the proximity ranges, all of the strokes gained approach and putting, all of that is coming from just the stadium course. So minimum, I suppose, of one round. Everyone gets one round there. If you play on Sunday, you get 2 rounds there throughout the years. The only one that's different is the Siwoo Kim year during COVID, where they played 3 rounds. They kicked La Quinta to the curb, played Nicholas in the stadium course, and then played both the rounds on the weekend at the stadium course. So you're not dealing with a full complement of stats because realistically you only have like scoring averages and putts per green in regulation and crap like that from the other 2 courses. So just keep that in mind as we go through it. La Quinta is the easiest of the bunch. They're all pretty easy courses. The main difference between Nicholas, La Quinta, and the stadium course is you can get it going real bad at the stadium course. You can shoot 63, that's not a problem, but you can shoot 82 if things start going wrong.
Well, yeah, there's a ton of water and insane bunkers, right, at the stadium course. And that's Pebble Beach. I was going to say, wasn't there crazy weather that really screwed this place up? But I think that's one of the Pebble Beach courses, pro-am courses, that got mashed in all those California floods. Yeah, we've seen stadium courses where things can get super silly, but it's also a Pete Dye course. So you're going to see guys 6 over, but guys in the same group that are 5 under. They're just cruising along. You put the ball in the right spot, everything can be attackable on the short Pete Dye course.
For sure. And like we saw, I watched the highlights of all 4 rounds from last year. Shout out YouTube for that one. But Swafford just made everything coming down the stretch last year. And we've seen, like, Swafford won this in 2017. He won it last year. Landry loses to Rahm in a playoff, does nothing for 2 years, comes back and wins this tournament. I don't know whether it is the long rounds because of the pro-am, being used to the course rotation, the overseeded greens, whatever it might be, that if you're comfortable with this course, it's not going to happen every year. But a lot of years, like, you're just going to see randoms from out of nowhere contend for a title and maybe even win at really deep odds. Like, this is one of the bigger long shot tournaments that there is every single year on tour, but this field is like a super field. So I don't know if that applies anymore.
Yeah, these fields, they just get stronger. They just get stronger. I mean, Rahm's been here, Cantley's come here. Maybe Finau's been here, but we just, maybe lost money on him. This is where Rahm walked off saying there's a fucking goddamn motherfucking putting contest. I paraphrase it. He didn't say motherfucker. But he got real grumpy one of those days. Just putting contest, blah, blah, blah. Right? I think it was here.
Yeah,
could be wrong.
I believe it was last year at this course.
Yeah, so he can get real grumpy. But, I mean, he said it, but I feel like as everyone does their previews, you were all saying it on the Tuesday that week, it just turns into a putting contest.
And I thought that last week would turn into a putting contest. Just Siwoo was so good everywhere outside of the greens. I think he gained less than a stroke putting. He wasn't in the negative, but he was barely in the positive and ended up winning. That's such a huge outlier for winning the Sony Open. I mean, it can happen here as well. Like, you don't have to be the craziest putter, but that's essentially what it comes down to, especially at these Pete Dye courses where you, like I said, you can get it going the wrong way. 7 holes with water in play, 90 plus bunkers, and some of them are just stupid. Like, I was watching the 17th hole, like the best of the 17th hole from the last few years. Oh. Danny Lee had one where, because there's rocks surrounding the island green, so he hit the rock, but it jumped over the water way to the left and landed on the other side of the water. And like, the dude just has no shot coming back. He's trying to like flop it onto the green from like 67 yards away, puts one short into the water, has to go back, hits the green, and it goes over into the rocks, unplayable, has to walk back. Like, it's just stupid sometimes.
Oh yeah, it can get diabolical. But again, there'll be guys that are just going from position A. And as we've had the super long shots here, Pat, as I feel like we kind of alluded to last week, and I don't know that, like, I'm not saying anything crazy to think like I think super long shots have no chance, but Now it feels like the super long shots have just become like the 80-1 guys.
I agree. That's unfortunate. What are you going to do?
Nothing. The guys, there are just so many good players, and the trophies just seem to not escape them. And then you have your Brian Harmons at 33-1.
Yes. But I mean, a lot of that obviously has to do with how well that he has been playing throughout the course of the swing season. Didn't play great last week. He played like good enough. He ended up making the cut, but he has a great history here. That's the reason he's so enhanced. So let's talk about the top odds on the board. In a super field, you got Rahm at 7, Scheffler and Cantlay at 11, Finau at 12. I hate that Finau number, by the way. Schauffele at 16. Zalatoris, Tom Kim, Sung Jae, all at 22-1. Burns and Cam Young at 25, currently at DraftKings Sportsbook. These are 10 of the top 20 players in the world, according to the World Golf Rankings. They're all here this week, and they're all less than 30-1. I have 3 guys that I like right away, but 3 guys that I wanted to bet. I didn't think their odds would be as short as they are. I really like Finau. I really like Tom Kim, and I really like Cam Young. But obviously I can't, unless those are my 3 wagers for this week, which, quote, they won't be, that I got to narrow that down to 2.
I was looking at 3 of those guys. 2 are the same. Finau was just too short for me, and I didn't go to bed thinking about golf, so I didn't even have the moment like maybe you did. Maybe I'll get an 18. None of that. For me, it's I like Cam Young a lot. I feel like this could be a perfect place to get the first win, but I don't want to feel cocky like I'm calling it. I could get on that Tom Kim wagon for all the reasons I didn't bet him last week. There's just a 2 in front of his name now. And I think Xander Schauffele, that I could get as high as 22-1. It's like I don't want to call it a major number for Xander, but it's the American Express. We're in California. I don't know. It's like a 2-2 for Xander. This feels like something I should play. So that's what I'm looking at close to. But Xander and Cam Young were the first 2 to catch my eye.
You're not worried about Xander's back at all. I know he was cleared. Obviously, he's coming back to play, but there's got to be something there if he had to withdraw from a tournament 2 weeks ago with a back injury.
Pat, I'm sorry. This is bad of me. I totally forgot about that.
Well, he's back, so obviously it's fine.
I don't know. My mom. I'm just.
Did the Chargers break your brain?
They killed every piss and vinegar I got. Trust me. They did something. You can kick me for so long, but they took all like the emotional investment of like a 14-year-old. I don't know. That might be dead. And you seen me do it with another team that people I knew my whole life would never believe I did it. And you didn't know me then, but you saw me just kick them. And I'm not saying I'm there because I love football so much. But right now, the thought process. I totally forgot about Xander's injury.
It's all right. I mean, he's playing. If he was injured, he wouldn't be playing, right?
Yeah. But you could easily read. I mean, not that I wouldn't get refunded if I bet him, but I need to see something more.
Okay.
But Cam Young feels like my favorite pick of under 25-1 of the really good players here this week. And that feels like I'm getting cocky and trying to call something, which I'm not good at and I hate.
So the top 4 are too short for you at this tournament? 156 players, Pro-Am, everyone gets 3 rounds. They do seem a bit short. Like, what if I could give you...
Sorry. I'm just saying the favorite yelled it's a fucking putting contest walking off the hole last year.
Yeah.
Although they both won it, haven't they? Or Cantlay lost in a playoff here?
No, Cantlay made a run the year that Si Woo won. I think he ended up coming in second. It was the final day was someone, Si Woo and Finau. And Finau played well, and Si Woo was just electric and shot like 8 under or something like that and beat him. And Cantlay, I think, shot 61, and he ended up losing by like 3, but he came in second. And he was never really in it. But he plays this tournament every single year, so he's very familiar with it, obviously. What if I could get you a 14 on Finau?
Yeah, it's not horrible. It just feels really low. Although I will say, I mean, it's not any news, but in my first fantasy national peaks, Finau was first on everything I did.
He should be. He's been playing great. Yeah. He even played well at TOC.
Yeah, 14's not horrible. I mean, if I'm betting Tony Finau at 14, I'm probably, parlaying him with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tonight.
Because 14's not enough for you? 14,
You're right.
14 to 1 on your money?
No, that's not enough for me. It's not. Not at the tournament. Not at the MX.
Tom Kim last week in 2 rounds gained 2 strokes off the tee, 2 strokes on approach, half a stroke around the green, lost. Sorry, I said 6 earlier. 7 strokes putting in 2 rounds. It just feels like a perfect spot to get back on board.
Yeah, his numbers doubled up, but is that because he missed the cut or because John Rahm is here?
I think it has something to do. I think it has to do with both, to tell you the truth.
I mean, let's say Tom Kim came in 34th place last week. Do you think his number is different?
Yeah, I think that he is right around, I guess Zalatoris is as low as 22 on DraftKings Sportsbook, but I would say that he'd be inside 20 to 1. Yeah.
I really like Zalatoris. Would you say that his strengths are negated here?
I would say that maybe he's cursed. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see later.
He is cursed?
He is cursed. And he shot a 61 at one of the courses last year. I think it was Nicholas. He made putts from everywhere, like 80-foot putts. I remember he was playing one of the alt courses, and he was in the future groups. They kept cutting to Zalatoris, making putts from everywhere. He shot a 61 and still really wasn't in it by the end of it. So, yeah, I would say that his biggest strengths are negated here when it comes. Can we wait till next week when he wins the Farmers?
Yeah, but he could pop before that, and he's so good. I mean, I get we say his strengths are negated. And maybe to include Taylor Montgomery in this is unfair, but I feel like when you're just so talented, the game can just play anywhere.
Yeah, but Taylor Montgomery is the exact opposite here. Taylor Montgomery is someone who makes every putt. I would want him here.
No, what I'm saying, Will Zalatoris feels course proof.
Sure, either to yeah, I think eventually he's going to get to that point where he starts winning some of these birdie fests. But it's just such a huge stretch at the moment to say, hey, can he even gain 3 strokes in a weekend? If he gains 3 strokes in a weekend, we can't have the winning score be minus 24. He's going to need to putt more than that.
Those are all very good counterpoints.
Now watch him go out and do it. I would it's not that I think that Taylor Montgomery is even in the same realm as Will Zalatoris. However, I do think that he can make enough putts to win.
I hope so, because there's some nice numbers on him.
What's the deepest you've seen?
50?
Oh, really? You've seen a 50 on Montgomery? The highest I've seen is 35, and that's at DraftKings. Oh, no, that's not true. There's a 50 right there. I'm looking right at it. Don't mind me. It just repopulated on my page once I hit refresh. All right, so of these top guys, I'm going to narrow it down between Finau, Cam Young, and Tom Kim. Knowing me, I'm not going to eat the 14 to 1 on Finau. I'll end up going Tom Kim and Cam Young. And, 22 on Cam Young at some spots, 25 at others. I guess I'll have to live with the 25, but, I feel like he's going to be a very popular selection this week, that by the time we get to Thursday or Wednesday, when people are really starting to get into betting for the week, that he might be 18 to 1, almost like Harman last week.
I hope not, but I feel like 22 is already very short for me, and I'm real tempted on it, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger because I feel like I already said it twice. I don't know. First, I feel like I'm just chasing the first win at this number.
Yeah, the win's going to come for him, though.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And you would probably counter that by saying, Fienberg, you can get the 25 to 1 here. What do you think I'm sure if you want to bet him at a big event, he's 33 to 1. So you're probably getting greater value at something like this, and it's probably more likely he wins something like this. Him and Xander Schauffele were the two that I was looking at the most. Schauffele's, I don't know. Now I got to just get a positive report on Schauffele, because wouldn't be shocked if we saw a withdrawal coming on Wednesday. and the odds board is just related to the committed list on the tournament. And if Schauffele withdrew, do you think that would even change odds on anybody?
Yeah, it might drop Zalatoris, Kim, Sungjae, Burns all down a little bit. Do you have any read on Burns right now?
None. Other than I trust him to win a vet. Like if he's playing well and he's against a John Rahm, I trust him, and I think he wants to go win your member, and he wants to he just tees it up. He's a stone cold killer, but I'm not betting him. Okay. I want to see a little flash. I want to see a little flash first. I don't know, man. My cards right now feel like my betting card is just a bunch of guys I'm hoping are really good golfers.
That's usually a pretty good strategy.
No, it's usually the strategy of picking guys who have already shown that they're really good winning golfers. I guess I forgot the winning part in my first sentence.
Yeah, Cam Young 28-1 on DraftKings all of a sudden. He went from 25 to 28. So there you go. Because Finau keeps dropping. He opened at 16, went to 14, now he's 12. Apparently everyone loves Finau this week. We'll see. Let's go to the next range. 30 through 100. I have made one wager so far in this range. I bet Cam Davis. He's 50-1 at DraftKings Sportsbook. I was able to grab myself a 55 on that. But I like Cam Davis this week. I didn't like him last week. I know that you did. And I actually thought he played pretty well last week. Although people on Twitter would lead me to believe that he did not play well because someone told me that. He came 32nd in his first start of the year. Almost led the field in strokes gained off the tee, which is going to be very important this week. 3 strokes on approach. Couldn't putt. Lost 3 strokes putting. And he's another one. He either gains a bunch or he loses a bunch. And I have to hope this is one of the weeks where he ends up gaining a bunch, and I think we're going to be good to go. I like this number. I think 55 is very reasonable for him, and even to go back at what he's done at this tournament. He's played at 3 of the past 4 years, 29th, 28th, and 3rd. Good enough for me. I like Cam Davis, 55-1.
Yeah, great case. I was on him last week, so part of me feels like I should get back on the wagon. The 50s that are 45, 50s I'm looking at on Taylor Montgomery. Pat, I feel like are ultra fair. Tom Hoagie also sitting right in that range. Didn't he just outdone here last year? And then he won in Pebble like the week after?
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of the case to make this week that if you want to go back to Hayden Buckley, that maybe he's just riding the form. He came in second. Maybe he gets it done here.
Right. That's a great point. I haven't even seen a Buckley number.
It's because you know why? Because he's not in the field. That's why.
Yeah. Okay.
He should really be trying to ride the heater here.
Yeah, it seems like a nice event that would have worked. I can tell you, Pat, a guy you were on last week, I'm seeing a huge number discrepancy, and using that odds checker grid with that high water mark coming in over at DraftKings, checking all the Mayo media boxes with that one. Your boy posting 90-1 at DK, in the 50s pretty much everywhere else, Pat. So if you're looking at him, hit up that DK.
Yeah, I was surprised he faded on Sunday. He just didn't make the move that I thought that, because it was obviously Siwoo didn't play in the Tournament of Champions. He becomes a winner not playing the week before for the first time since Cam Smith. So now I believe it's 8 of the past 10 years that the player played in the Tournament of Champions. So we kind of blew that one up. I think it's 13 of the past 14 winners of this event have played at least one of the 2 Hawaii tournaments, which is mainly everyone this week outside of Hadwin, Fowler, Day, and Rose, and Dietrich. That's basically it coming into.
And I was going to say, I got 2 guys are on my list on that haven't played yet, who I love. Dietrich and Pendrith.
And Pendrith would be the other one. I guess Canadians hate going to Hawaii. That's right. Wyndham Clark, Windy C, as Kirshner called him when he drafted him. He's in the field this week, too. Has had some nice run at this tournament over the years. Day, I think, is somewhat interesting. I did want to talk about Taylor Montgomery, though. Like, the guy does putt enough to win. Why not? Why not Taylor Montgomery at 35-1?
He putts enough. I think he can take full advantage of all of these layouts. The number seems, the number seems quite high enough. It's a talent play for me. I can get him at 50-1. I don't see myself not making that bet.
Yeah, 50-1 seems way too deep. Like, way too deep.
For what I think, and I buy into all the hyperbole. I'm into this guy. looks the part. At 50 to 1, in any sort of event like this, hate that John Rahm's here, but this is a bet. I'll make it right now.
I'm staring at it too, and there's a guy at 60 I'm staring at as well. The Cam Davis is the only one. I've played two bets so far. One guy's 250 to 1. The other guy is 55 to 1. That 55 to 1 is Cam Davis. Before we get there, I did want to talk about Harmon. Montgomery's 35 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Siwoo, Wise, you mentioned Hoagie. Putnam is 45 to 1. And then you have Cam Davis at 50 at DraftKings Sportsbook. People are in on Putnam, obviously coming off a good week, a great history here. Obviously, he can make all the putts. Hoagie, you mentioned. Wise, I don't know what to do with. Would you go back to Siwoo? And this is just too short for Herman. I know I bet Herman at 27 last week, but he's playing against real guys now.
I mean, Siwoo off a win coming to a course that he recently won at. Can he carry that fire? I am not betting him. It seems like the number is fair off of the win. You could argue maybe it should be a little even lower than 35. Last year we saw a lot of really good players piggyback wins into more wins. I just rather bet on other losers, not a winner like Siwoo.
Let's see. He won at Wyndham, missed the cut the next week. Won at the Players, missed the cut the next time that we saw him. Won at the American Express, missed the cut the next week. So maybe Siwoo likes to get his party on after he wins. I don't know. Or just he's good for 2 rounds, goes nuclear, and then just doesn't have it anymore.
I like hearing everything you just said.
It's a pretty small sample.
Because I wasn't going to bet him, but now I'm for sure not going to bet him. And if he gets me, he gets me.
So Monty at 50, that's just a really good. I know that's going to be the best number. I don't want to bet him though, because I want to bet. I feel like if I bet Cam Davis and I bet Montgomery, there's another guy in that range that I do like as well. Then that cuts me out from the 2 guys at the top. Like Finau is now immediately off the board, and then it's between Tom Kim and Cameron Young. Maybe I could do both, and that's kind of it. But I feel like it really narrows what I can do at the top. Unfortunately.
It is so me to bet on a bunch of good players who've never won, but I'm loving my Cam Young 28, Montgomery 50 tickets.
Theegala 60.
Don't mind that also. Is that the 60 you mentioned you were staring at a minute ago?
Yeah, I really like Theegala this week.
I feel like he's going to be really popular.
Should be. He's good, but like KH Lee is also 60 to 1. Why wouldn't I go like what's the case for Theegala over KH Lee right now?
What's the case for Theegala over KH Lee? What are you asking me?
Yeah, that's exactly the question I asked you.
But why who do you like more, Theegala or KH Lee? I don't know what
I like Theegala. And you just said everyone's going to like Theegala, but KH Lee has been more consistent. He's won on the PGA Tour. Plays well at every TPC course. Last time I checked, this is a TPC course. At least the stadium course is. They're the same number. I have one guy who actually wins and one guy who doesn't, yet everyone likes the guy who doesn't win.
Yeah, one guy's way more popular. In the same way, like Montgomery, Cam Young, I don't know. It's also part of like calling something. Theegala's just way more popular. And maybe KH Lee's a great fantasy pivot. You make a point to that, but I don't know. I really like Theegala. I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. They just gravitate to him, and the 60 from an outright number doesn't seem horrible. I don't know if I can get there, but it doesn't seem horrible. And just to say, Pat, if you're looking to maximize everything, I am seeing 66s on Cam Davis.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Too late. I already bet the 55 because I thought that was going to be by far the best number.
You could probably get 100% back on that.
I might be able to. Let's go see. Can I get the 100% back on that? Is this a book that I have access to?
Yeah, I do, but it's now I'm seeing things move quickly in real time, and the 66 is now 55 as I'm at the website, and the odds checker grid might not have updated.
Okay, so let's hold off on that. I'll keep in my 55 to 1 on Cam Davis. You kind of mentioned Hoagie. Just went back and looked at his numbers. He actually played pretty well last week. I didn't think that he was
Yeah,
going
fine.
to. What's that?
He was just really popular for the win, so maybe like there's a sentiment that it was a letdown. But as someone that had no action on Hoagie last week, that 45-1, where he was right here last year playing good golf, this is exactly the type of Tom Hoagie course. Just one of the reasons we liked him at Pebble Beach, and jumped on that one quickly. This is a 75-1 winner. Might be my biggest win last year, to be honest.
Yeah, that was as someone who didn't have Hoagie and had all of his money on Spieth. That was not a fun weekend for me.
I don't mean biggest in terms of payback, but odds, because as we know, last year didn't offer much, and I didn't bet Cagely at Byron Nelson.
List was the biggest one for me.
Story, great win. Yeah, Hoagie just seems like it fits perfect. I see myself building a Cam Young starter card and throwing some other buckets in that in front of 60-1.
Yeah, I kind of like Hoagie as well. So Hoagie, Davis, the Gala, Montgomery, Tom Kim. Does that work?
Yeah, it works, but I feel like I'm just wasting money when it's going to be between like Cantley and Finau. But what can you do? What can you do?
You can bet Finau at 14.5-1.
Get it like 35 with the Bucks money line. Don't yell at me.
That's it? You have to bet an underdog to win outright in football, and it only almost just over doubles your bet?
Well, that's how it works. Whether it's right or wrong, that's how it works.
It's just... No, thank you for me on that.
Look, they're trying to bait us at the top, too, with not even the good players. And now boosted Cantley to 14 and Scheffler to 14.
Ooh, Scheffler to 14?
Yeah, what is that? You like that more than Finau at 14? You probably do, I think.
I mean, just when you put them right next to each other, I think that you should almost always like Scheffler more than Finau. Although they almost have the same number of wins over the past 12 months, so maybe I'm off on that.
I mean, someone in the comments gonna list the quality of wins, but
hey, win's a win. And this isn't... Hey, listen, what would quality of win have to do with winning the American Express?
100%. Let's get back. Where were we? Said Hoagie.
I don't know. What is it that you're talking about now? I don't think that you should have your sports books open when we do this show anymore.
Maybe. You think I've made bets? I bet Cam Davis and I bet Montgomery and...
No, I understand that, but you're on like 8 different books at one time, and I feel like you're not listening to me.
We were talking about Hoagie.
Yeah, we were. And then now we're talking about Boost that we can't even say the book that they're on. I don't know how helpful that is for everyone.
Okay, you're right. Sorry, you're right. I'll close it up. Locked away.
DraftKingsSportsbook.com is where everyone needs to be. Is there anyone else?
If Jason Day gets first round leader, are they going to crush his Masters odds 70%? What do you think?
Yes, but you can't really bet first round leaders this week because it's the 3 separate courses.
Of course. If Jason Day plays well this week, are they going to slash his Masters odds? Yes.
What are his Masters odds?
We already looked. We laughed at Christmas. They're like 66-1.
Yeah. I mean, he has been playing a lot better golf. I'll give him that. It also wouldn't be the first time. It also wouldn't be the first time that we've seen this quality of player kind of dip for 2.5 years, 3 years, and then kind of come out the other side and be on the upswing. I think that's the positive case for Jason Day if you were looking for one.
I'm will not be betting on Jason Day. I'll bet on guys who have never won that I have high expectations for.
Okay, so is there anyone? You said Dietrich. He's 90-1 right now. So are you going to bet Dietrich?
Dietrich, Pendrith, those are 2 guys I might be a slut for this year. We'll see. I don't think so. But this is kind of like the bomb range. When it used to be 150, 200, this is it. I mean, we've joked about it a couple times, but that just feels like the reality of it. Dietrich played last week in that...
Hero Cup.
Yeah, whatever that was, which seemed pretty fun. and entertaining. But I think Mollywood lost for the first time in a while.
He did what? He played or just? I know that he played, but you say he won?
No, I was talking about something else. No, Dietrich, he didn't play very well.
Oh,
In the little that I watched, he had a pairing. It was a Fienberg pairing. It was Dietrich and somebody else. If I could have bet on it or was awake to bet on it, I would have lost money. But Dietrich and Pendrith are two guys who we haven't seen the first couple of weeks, at least here, that would have my eye at the very back, flirting with 100. And over 100, there's really only one guy that has my attention at the moment.
the guy over 100 who has your attention, is it the guy that I've already bet on?
I don't know who you've bet on, so you could tell us all.
David Lingmerth.
No, but he's got a nice resume here.
We know at least one playoff loss.
150 to 1 on DraftKings, but if you look around, you can find it a little higher. Matthew Neesmith.
Hasn't played yet this year, but I would agree with you. I think this is the sort of event that he would play well in.
Yeah, he gets around this type of course quite well. Hopefully there's a round or two of nuclear in there. Frustrating he hasn't played yet. At those numbers, maybe you could do it in different things or placings, but Matthew Neesmith is the long shot that I like the most.
Yeah, Lingmerth 300 to 1 at DraftKings Sportsbook right now. The other one I would look for, he also hasn't played this year, but also 300 to 1. We got a Pete Dye course, we got a TPC course, fairways and irons. Probably won't be able to putt enough to make it worth his while, but the Gim Reaper is finally back, and he loves these style of courses.
Knew you were going to say that. He's literally right. He's right under Lingmerth on what I'm looking at. So yeah, there, your two boys together. Can I ask you a question of a player profile? Because what sort of player is Callum Tarrant? I know he was around in the swing season and he was really popular and he scored quite well, but what is his skill set?
I just assumed he was a bomber, but that was me. It's funny because he misses a ton of cuts, but when he makes the cut, he in his past, basically back to the U.S. Open when he was 31st. So he goes 31st miscut. So one miscut, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miscuts in his last 14 starts. But in the 7 times that he made the cut, he finished inside the top 26 every single time with 3 top 10s.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for the lesson.
No problem. I was not even really aware of that until I just used Fantasy National to go find it. Yeah, he gains he is yet to play in a tournament except for the Genesis Scottish Open, where he has not gained a bunch of strokes off the tee in terms of distance. Doesn't hit a ton of fairways, but bombs it. Which can be very helpful here. We've seen that type of player win at this course. We've seen like the Vegas, Roms, and even Hudson Swafford to a lesser extent. And then you've seen Jason Duffner and Siwoo and those types of players, like accuracy, good wedges, make a ton of putts type players end up winning here too. Bill Haas is another one. So this course is kind of immune to anyone can kind of win. Like any style of play is fine here. That's why I like Tom Kim. And if Tom Kim can start making some putts, like it's not a course where his lack of distance puts him at a disadvantage. We know how good he is with the irons, that if he just can ride a hot putter, he's going to be fine.
Makes a ton of sense. These are my favorite events where the course can suit any type of skill set. These are the ones I like. I hate the 3-course aspect. I hate that it's difficult to track. I'm surprised you no-sold Poston so much. Poston.
I like him. He's fine. And maybe I can get there. At the 90 number, like when I was looking, I was seeing a 60 on him. Maybe more of like a top 10 type play, top 20 type play.
Golf's also dangerous because it's like, oh, he's 90 on one book, he's 55 on the other. Well, that still doesn't mean like you should bet unless you want to bet that player, then go find the best number. if you're not like, if you don't think a guy's gonna win, then who cares what the number is? Like, even if there is a better number, at
I
least
would.
that's how I
I,
look
I,
at it.
I would tend to agree. I don't want to put my money on anyone just because the number is there if I don't think they're going to win. Now, maybe I should because I'm so poor at picking winners anyway that maybe that's a better strategy for me. I don't know. Willett's in the field.
Oh shoot! Can I have one moment?
Sure.
I'm really sorry. Hi.
All right, we've talked long enough. Let's get into the quick picks for the American Express. So the only money I have in so far is on Cameron Davis, 55-1 to win outright. Also, David Lingmerth, I have it 225-1 with the top 5 each way bet. So 5 placement points on that. Currently 300 at DraftKings Sportsbook if you want to do that, but I can't bet that from here, so I can't take that. Those are the 2 I have in. So what I'm trying to figure out is what I want to do with the rest of my card. I really like Finau. I don't like the number. I really like Cam Young. The 28 is actually a really good number. The 22 that I'm currently seeing, I don't know about that. I think I'd rather bet Tom Kim at 22 if that's where I was going to go. So it's going to be either 2 or 1 of those 3 guys, and then we're in that middle range where you mentioned Taylor Montgomery. I like that. I like Thegal at 60. I like Hoagie at 45. So I might have to live and die with no Finau up top, Tom Kim, and a bunch of these middle guys. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, I feel like I'm chasing in and around the same range. Different players, though. I am betting that Cam Young 28-1. I've betted. I'm going to bet more on it. I'm going to bet Taylor Montgomery 50-1. I was on Cam Davis last week. I don't see myself getting off. We'll get that best number, but 55 sounds great. Swimming around Hoagie hard. And then as we get to the back, Pendrith and Dietrich are guys that I will have to think about because it's just hard for me to quit them. But they haven't played yet this year. And the bomb I like, if those are still possible at winning PGA Tour events, would be Matthew Neesmith. Player, like, his profile is just perfect for this place. Again, wish he had already played, but I don't think that will stop me from making a bet.
I kind of like that Callum Tarrant idea now that you kind of put that seed into my head, not as a win, but as a top 30, top 20, whatever it might be. I think you'll get pretty good odds on that. One and done selections for our 3-man contest. Thank you to Aaron, who is tracking this for us for the entire year, as he just did last year. I'm out to a hot start. Brian Herman and his $40,000 was good enough for a win. For the week against Tom Hoagie from Cust, and your Jordan Spieth ended up missing the cut. So you're in last. Cust always gets first pick. He is taking Will Zalatoris this week at the American Express. Tambo and I are splitting an entry in the race for the Mayo Cup. So there's more one and done analysis on the Wednesday show that I do with him. If people are really looking for contrarian plays, what you want to do, and we'll reveal our pick on that show. We will until we're like in first place, and we won't be able to tell you. Although maybe that's bad juju at that time. I don't know. I am going to pick Tony Finau. Your pick.
Tom Hoagie.
Tom Hoagie. All right. If I bet on him, I hope that you win this week.
Me too.
All right. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I think people are looking forward to the Tuesday evening NFL spread pick show, Geoff. I'm not going to lie to you.
The piss and vinegar, man. Like, it's just not, it's just like it's nothing. Like, you guys, you're good at it. You'll try. I don't know. I'll have no reaction. Like, the piss and vinegar, the passion. I'm a passionate guy. Sometimes people think I'm angry. It's just like I care or I just am intense. So that hurt. That was like a great shame. And now the piss and vinegar, I don't know where that's gonna come from. Because I don't make shit up. I don't make it up. So hopefully it's there. You'll probably make one comment and it'll show up, but I don't know, man.
Paul, did you have something to say?
Yeah, Geoff, you should have paid him off in DC's. That's the only way you can get silence from Top Cat on a curse.
I don't even know what I was. Do I know the honest to God's truth, Pat? I saw it today because I was back on the desktop. We're doing the show. the amount of mentions, I never had so many mentions in my goddamn life. I deleted, not my account, I deleted Twitter off my phone. It's been a very healthy day and a half. Like the only time and then today was the first time I saw it, just because it's on my desktop. My thing would have exploded. The amount of people that DM, guys, I'm fine, how do you put this? I don't know. I'm very annoyed.
You can say it. People were DMing you to see if you had killed yourself or not.
People were DMing me.
People were DMing me about that.
They were DMing
me
about wellness.
Jeff's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing, and I'll say it probably again tomorrow. No one has to ever worry about me. Okay? Trust me. I promise you. I like the football team. I'm passionate about the football team. I'm very prepared for them to lose games, heartbreaking games. Wasn't expecting that one, but yeah, what do you guys think? Some of the messages are really weird. I'm fine. That loss sucked. And everything needs to be reevaluated on every level, including my interest in those fucking guys. But yeah, no, we're good.
All right.
It's unfortunate because it's the only thing this universe doesn't want to give me. Because everything else is just I got. But that one, I don't know. That they don't want to give me that. And that's fine. It's a good trade. It's a good trade. But yeah, the piss and vinegar it's dead for the moment.
Okay. So we'll talk about the divisional round on the Spread Pick Show on Mayo Media Network.
You have to?
What?
I'm joking. What did I do? I'm not even looking.
Then we'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Remember to check back if the Listeners League is not available on first viewing for this, as I will put it back in. Sub to fantasynational.com/Mayo. Get yourself 20% off. Smash the like, sub to the channel on the way out as well. And that will do it for us. What? What's the woo for?
Oh, I didn't even. Sorry. I'm off. I didn't even know it was audible.
You talking into the microphone?
I was just taking a breath.
All right, that'll do it then. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience.
Best close ever.
Best close ever?
Yeah.
I think it was horrible, but somehow that people will like what just happened there. I apologize. That I just took a deep breath and it cleared yeah. It was just a loud exhale. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No, Jeff, it's good to turn off the voices on Twitter.
Experience.